Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Hall Family Wines Happy Hour, the show where great minds drink alike. My name is Kathryn Hall. So, right now in Napa Valley, the pace has really changed since we ended harvest. The wine is resting in the cellars. The vines are dormant for another month or so. So if you like tasting wine in a setting that's beautiful but also very peaceful, this is a great time for you to visit the wine country. And this is also a really great time for you to be joining us on Happy Hour. My guest today is one of the funniest people in the world. He entertains us night after night, 5 nights a week, with his humor, that laugh out loud humor, also with his humanity. He has hosted the Emmys and the Oscars each twice. He has been named by Time Magazine as being one of the 100 most influential people in the world. So let's bring on the very influential and also very funny Jimmy Kimmel.
Hi, Kathryn.
Hello, Jimmy.
I'm trying to be influential right now as we sit here. I'm influencing.
Yeah. Oh, you just look very impressive to me. Well, cheers. Do you have
Cheers
a glass?
to you. I do have a glass, and I also have a little. Well, you have a Post-it on your glass. I
do. Well, we'll get to that a little bit later.
Okay. Is that to remind yourself to drink?
You know what? I do not need that problem. I just can always handle that all by myself.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. So the last time we saw each other was in 2018 at your Oscars party.
That's right. After the Oscars, we had a party, and you. Right. Oh, there we are. Look at
and
that.
There we are. I just thought, well, it was a fancy night, and I thought, you probably would remember this because I'm thinking it might have been the only picture that you took that night.
Kathryn, I'm looking at that picture, and I'm wondering what's going on with my arm. It looks like I'm rifling through your purse while we're posing.
I don't think, yeah. Isn't it weird to think about being that close to somebody who is not a family member? I mean, that is so clearly pre-COVID.
Oh, yeah. You're right. It is. It's funny now. You watch TV and you see people hugging and people in an elevator and you go, oh, my God, what's going on? It's so weird. It's weird how we've become conditioned to stay away from each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yet they're right there. I mean, maybe we started COVID. I don't know. Maybe we were patients zero, started it right after the Oscars.
Right. Well, maybe, someone flew in from, I think it was China. Then they came, and then
maybe a bat flew down and sucked a little bit of our blood and put a little bit of COVID in us. I don't know. Although we probably shouldn't start that rumor. I don't want to be blamed for that.
I don't know. It could be. Yeah. You never know what could go viral. I also got to meet. There were so many famous people at that. It was so.
Who did you meet at that party? That was a fun party.
Guess what? I just happened to have.
Oh! You had to go and ruin it.
Yeah.
That guy.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking that we might invite him, but I thought we might run out of time. So.
That's right. Can I tell you something? I don't know how he got in the party. He certainly wasn't invited to the party. I don't know who he bribed or paid to get in there. But if I ever host the Oscars again, which I won't, I'll make sure security is a lot tighter than it was.
Oh, really? Really? Why wouldn't you host the Oscars again? Didn't you enjoy it?
It's one of those things that I felt like I did it. And the first time I felt like, oh, great. Okay. It was going great until the very end. And then they messed up the category and gave the Oscar to the wrong people.
Right.
so then that became like kind of the big story, like, that moment. And in a way, somehow I got blamed for it by certain people. Were like, yeah, well, and I had nothing to do with it, of course. And so then I felt like I had to host it again to get that, so that's not the narrative going forward. And so I did, and then that was enough. When we took that picture, I was probably exhausted. There's this weird
Oh,
thing that happens when you prepare for a show like that for months and months, or however long you prepare for it, and then you do it, and then you walk out of there and you just feel like every bit of energy has just leaked, we've gone right down the sewer. And it's really a strange thing that happens. It's I guess the adrenaline is gone and you're just an empty shell of a human being.
well, yeah, I would think that would be so, but I mean, it's just like, for me, when I look at you night after night on your show, I'm wondering how you keep your energy up. I mean, it's like so crazy. I mean, you've got to have off days like every normal human being, but you still have to show up and, you know,
Well, first of all,
make us happy.
I'm not a normal human being, but just to start with, but it is very strange, and I think about it sometimes, and it's strange in a lot of ways. Even just physically, it's strange because, like, sometimes occasionally I'll have the hiccups before I go on, and it's weird. As soon as they announce my name, the hiccups are gone, and sometimes after the show I remember, like, oh yeah, I had the hiccups right before the show, and they disappeared. Or sometimes, there are times where personally, like, there are bad things going on, like, you're fighting with your girlfriend, or something is happening, or you just get some really bad news. I mean, I remember, like, my grandmother dying, like, right before a show, and then you're like, oh, now I have to walk out there. But a very strange thing happens where you wind up putting everything other than what's right in front of you out of your head. And it's probably kind of like being a hooker, I guess, in a lot of ways, but you just focus on the job in front of you.
Ah, okay.
Everyone can relate to that, right?
Yeah, really, really. I'll file that way and then come back to it
Yes.
after we're
Ask
done.
around. Ask around. Ask around.
Yeah. So, one of the things that I know you love to do, well, actually, you love wine, and
I do.
yeah, which
I do.
I love knowing about. And actually, you and I, we share a lot in common that you may not know, because we obviously both really enjoy wine. But we both were raised Catholic. We both have some German in our ancestry.
Hmm.
We work with our family. And
Oh
so,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
You have to write their names right on the bottle. I mean, you got to work with
yeah,
the whole family. You can't bring in, like, other halls. You couldn't bring, like, Arsenio in to
yeah.
take over, or maybe he's the only guy you could sell the company to if you
Yeah,
wanted.
maybe too. But honestly, when we first started, one of our first customers, because nobody had ever heard of us, and this is like 25 years or so ago, our first customers were all named Hall. And I used
Oh,
to really be grateful that my husband had such a normal last name, because, had it been something really weird, it would
so
have been
those
much.
people would presumably buy your wine, and then at their house they'd pull it out and they'd be like, "Yes, this is our." Oh, that's very clever. Yeah,
Yeah,
I like that.
that's the plan. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like it too.
What else do
So,
we have in common? Let's go on.
let's go. Well,
Yeah,
here's something we don't really have in common so much, but I know you love to cook,
I
and
do.
I love to eat. So
I
that's
see.
sort of in common.
Well,
Yeah.
there one you need one. You can't have one without the other. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a turkey I smoked. You could see, by the way, you could see how almost arrogantly proud I am of the way that turkey came out, because that was a beautiful turkey.
That is one beautiful turkey.
Yeah,
Totally. Yeah.
yeah. I
And
ordered these turkeys. I am very particular about the turkey that I get, so I'll order a turkey in, like, July for Thanksgiving, because the worst case scenario is they're all accounted for, so you can't get a nice organic turkey from a farm where it was raised in a healthy way, and it does make a difference, I think, when you cook them. And then if you get it just right, I mean, look at how beautiful the color is there.
that's crazy.
Yeah,
You posted another picture that had a turkey that it looked to me like it was cut in two.
yeah.
But
I spatchcock the turkey sometimes. I split the breastbone and I lay it out flat, and I'll cook it like that. It's funny because that cooking a turkey whole is not the best way to cook a turkey, but we all want to come out and bring that turkey out of the oven on Thanksgiving and show it to everybody.
That's right.
But really, the best way is to split it into 4 parts, or actually 6 parts, and then cook everything separately at different temperatures. But, you know, some part of it is the show.
Yeah, well, isn't that really part of any sort of enjoyment of any setting? It's sort of like it's sort of where you are, it's the people you're with, you know.
Like, for instance, like, you know, you have beautiful labels on your wine, but even if a wine was great and it had a really terrible label, you wouldn't think it was good. And maybe the reverse too. Maybe you can get a great label and a bad wine and feel like you got something special. Oh, who are these characters?
Yeah,
I know these
and
two.
there's some people really enjoying another dish that you make, the pastatina.
Pastatina. I have to tell you something. I'm very proud of this, and I know that's dumb, but this is a video that I made for Ellen DeGeneres, particularly. She asked me to teach her how to make this pasta because it's a largely a vegetarian item. I use like a little bit of chicken stock in it, but you can use vegetable stock. And I make this dish for my children, and it's a way to trick them into eating something healthy. What I do is I take a hand blender and I smash up cannellini beans and I put it in the pasta, and they don't notice that the beans are in the pasta. So I posted this video, and so many people tell me now that they've learned to make this for their kids and that they watch this video and actually follow the recipe. And I just kind of love the idea that I have like a recipe that I came up with. You know, it's not something I ever imagined I would have. I'm used to following the recipes as I read them in the cookbooks.
No, it's a totally great video. I love it. And I like you take the salt and then you say, I'll probably put too much into it. And then I think at one point you had to switch pots because one was a little too big. And then I didn't
think it through. I think I cut myself on the can. I was bleeding, but that's how I really cook. And people will say in the comments, like, you're going to start a fire. You can't tilt. And I know all these things, but I'm not, safety is not at the top of my list when it comes to cooking. And in fact, I have even on a number of occasions now burned my eyebrows and a lot of my hair off from the barbecue grill.
Right. In fact, when you made the turkey for Thanksgiving, didn't you do that?
That did happen, yes. I was lighting the wood-fired oven in the yard, and I decided to light a piece of paper on fire and throw it in, and it came right back at me.
Yeah, that must have been a little scary. Yeah.
It went so fast that it wasn't scary, but I don't recommend it. It wasn't great. It is important to light your grill the proper way.
Yeah. Okay, and be careful. So, I want to move on to this. We have some wine glasses before us.
Yes.
And I want to move on to our next segment, which we are calling our blind wine tasting challenge.
Okay.
And that would be a challenge to you, Jimmy Kimmel.
All right.
Yeah. So often people are afraid of talking about wine. They don't feel comfortable describing a wine. They don't want to look silly or say something stupid. But you're always so open when you're talking with people. We thought maybe you would be willing to.
I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be totally honest with you. I don't know a ton about wine. I feel like I have a good palate. I feel like I know when wine is good. I don't know about the years and that kind of stuff. I rely on, like, I'll look things up on Vivino to see, like, okay, what is this bottle of wine? And should I save it for a special occasion? But I do feel like I have a pretty good, I feel like I have a good natural sense of what wine's good, but I have no education in the area whatsoever.
Oh, well, you have your taste, though. I think people who enjoy cooking, develop those sort of the nuances in their palate that makes them good.
Maybe that's it. Or maybe it's just, my grandfather, in my family is, my mom is Italian. And so in the old days in Brooklyn, when my mom was growing up, a guy would come by with a big wagon full of grapes. and everybody would buy a lot of grapes, and then everybody would make wine in the basement of their homes. And so my family, they would make this wine, and I'm sure it was absolutely disgusting. I have no doubt it was gross, because I do remember my grandfather years later, he would get one of those jugs of wine, those jugs that are like, $4,
The
and
ones you
he
put
would
your
keep,
finger in to hold it. Yeah.
yeah, the
Yeah.
big jugs. And
Yeah.
he would drink it over the course of like 2 months. He never drank a lot, he'd just have a glass with dinner. And, the idea that, that wine you could keep it open for 2 months, I'm sure it tasted like vinegar, or it was loaded with preservatives. But he had this big jug of wine that he poured a little glass of every night. He sat there and drank it. Sometimes he put soda in it. That was a thing that we did. So that's, that's how they got. I mean, that's how so let's just say I didn't come from aristocratic upbringing.
Hey, that reminds me of an old friend of my dad's who is now gone, but so my family has been in this business for a while. And he used to, when he grew up, he used to take grapes from California out to New York, and this was during Prohibition, and he used to sell it for sacramental wine. But actually, it didn't end up being sacramental wine. It probably went to people like your family, those folks who you just buy the grapes back there, and then you would make your own wine. So
yeah, I guess the church was out of luck.
Yeah, well, hey, So anyways, back to our challenge. So here's the way this is going to work. Now, we have been working with your assistant.
Oh, okay.
Graciously, we sent her 3 red wines, one from each of our 3 brands, from Hall, from WALT, from BACA. And she poured a glass of each, taste of each one into each of those 3 glasses, but she labeled them not with what the wines are, but with the numbers, so that we would know.
1, 2, and 3 I got here.
That's right.
Wait, yeah, 1, 2, and 3. Yeah,
that's right.
All right.
So your challenge is going to be to identify which wine is which. So let me tell you just a little bit about these wines. So this is not going to be, you don't have to tell vintages between vintages, but really it's going to be
I can't do that. Varietal. Okay, great. All right.
And so from the WALT brand, which makes our Burgundy wines, we've got a Pinot Noir. Mm-hmm. From the BACA brand, which does Zinfandels and some other varietals, we have a Zinfandel. And then from the Hall brand, we have a Cabernet Sauvignon.
All right.
So I'm going to taste these with you, but
great.
Okay. But I'm not going to tell you. Other than this, I have these hints, just so as a reminder.
No, don't give me the hint. Don't give me the hints. Let's see if you can give them to me if I can't figure it out.
Okay, deal. Well, let's start with number 1.
I've got number 1 here.
Okay.
All right. Now I'm going to look at it a little bit. So now our choices are Pinot, Cabernet, and Zinfandel.
And Zinfandel.
I feel like I'll know the Zinfandel immediately, but okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Okay, I know what I think that is, but I want to taste them all before I make a guess. Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. All right.
Okay, number 2.
All right, number 2.
We could also maybe talk. So anyway, here's the second one. Let's see what you think.
You got a big glass of wine there. I mean,
well, I figured we might go a while tasting them,
Yeah.
I don't normally pour it this full. But. So that nose is very distinctive to me.
Okay.
You
mean mine?
Yep. Oh, yeah. Well, that glass. Yeah.
Every once in a while, Kathryn, I will do this. I'll go like this at the restaurant. But I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just trying to look. And I'll do the thing where you want to see the legs on the wine. I'm like, oh, yes. And the wine has legs. I hope it doesn't run away. But I really don't know anything. All right. We got that one.
Okay, there's one. And now number 3.
Number 3. Oh. Yeah. Wow. Interesting. So I thought I knew what I was going to say, but now I feel like I don't.
Yep. Well, I didn't want to make this too easy.
Yeah. No, it's hard. It would be a funny prank if they were all the same, but they're not though.
So in general, when I think of, if I just say something general about the varietals, will that be too much of a
Well,
giveaway?
why don't you let me guess?
Okay, good.
And then okay, all right. So this is number one.
Okay, number
I'm
one.
gonna taste it again. Okay. This is number two. I'm gonna taste it again. And this is number three. I'm just killing time because I don't know. Okay, I'm going to say number three is the Zinfandel. Am I right?
Well, you want me to?
If I'm right,
I'll
tell me.
You're not right.
Oh, so then I'm wrong?
Well, but I'll tell you. But actually, Zinfandel can have a lot of the same qualities as this wine, and I can see why you would go there, because this Zinfandel is often very.
This is the Pinot.
Which one is what number?
Number three?
No.
All right, then I'm going to say it's the Cabernet. All right, so three is the Cabernet. It only took me 3 chances, but I got it. I told you I don't know anything, but I'm going to tell you something. Okay, yeah. Here's why I'm confused, because normally I don't love Zinfandel. I feel like it's got too much of a zing. But this Zinfandel, whichever one of these two it is, tastes good. Okay. I'm going to say number 2 is the Pinot, and number 1 is the Zinfandel.
Wow. That was really good.
Oh, all right. Okay, so
really
not terrible.
Good. Really, really good. So I think, so for me, what sort of, what stands out for these number 1 and number 2 as opposed to 3 is just simply the weight. These are both lighter wines. And so, I mean, just lighter on the palate, and I mean, they both are deep reds, but lighter on the palate. And so, and the Pinot Noir, and when I say lighter, I mean lighter than the Cabernet, wine number 3. But the Pinot Noir has a little higher acid. And the reason that the number 1 may have been confusing to you, this is the Zinfandel, is it's a very sort of spicy, meaty Zinfandel.
Right.
And so that makes
meaty.
It meaty.
Meaty is a good word. Yeah.
Right.
I like that.
Yeah. You know, really, when I think of Zinfandel, I think of it as a really good pairing for things like barbecue, because it's lovely to go with just really rich, juicy, succulent type meats. You know.
Yeah, it doesn't. You know what? It can compete with a like a brisket or something like that.
Yeah.
Whereas some of the other ones might get overwhelmed. See, now I'm learning how to talk like a.
Oh, I know, that's very impressive.
Like a wine enthusiast.
Yeah. So it's true. You know, I have been in groups of sommeliers who do the same thing. Who
is that
actually,
right?
But the thing is, their whole world is this. But it's hard for them. It's to always identify which varietal is which. So honestly,
and to me that indicates that they're full of it. You know, I mean, if they can't tell, why? I mean, they should be able to tell. Really, this should just be a test and say, like, listen, we're going to give you a 5. You have to at least get 60%, or you're fired. You're no longer a sommelier. You're now just a drunk.
Yeah, actually, you know, the exams that they go through for sommeliers, it's just, there was actually a film about called Somm that's out, and if you probably would enjoy watching it. It's really intense.
I feel like I can identify with that, with taking an exam under the influence of alcohol, because when I was in high school, I took the SAT tests on a Saturday morning at like 7:30 a.m. and I was still hung over from the 15 pack of Strohs we drank the night before. So I was a little, I felt like I was out at sea when I took my SAT test.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I know it is. Looking back, it was probably not a great way to start my career in higher education, but I wasn't that focused on it. I didn't even decide where I was going to go to college until after I graduated high school. So we didn't give that sort of thing a lot of thought. Not a lot of college graduates in my family, as you may have guessed.
That's right. But so many strong people in your family. I'll tell you what, you've got this just incredible family. I know you work with them, but I think about just here.
My Aunt Chippy is probably what's coming to mind.
I love your Aunt Chippy. She's exactly who was coming to my mind. I think when she was taking that test out in the tent.
Oh, yeah. We gave her a COVID test out in the tent. We really ran her through the ringer. It's interesting because my Aunt Chippy she's very bright. She's smart. She's no dummy. She's super smart, but yet she falls for every single prank. And we've done some. I've been pulling pranks on her since I was a young child. Like since I was 10 years old, I think I've been doing stuff to her. And now that I have a TV show, I can really up the ante. Like once one time, her daughter, this is her first grandchild, her daughter, Mickey, who's my cousin who also works on the show, was pregnant, and Aunt Chippy had never seen a sonogram before. You know, it wasn't a thing that they had when she was having children. She's 80 years old. And so she wanted to go along with her daughter to the sonogram. And we set up this whole thing. We set everything up, and she starts looking at the sonogram video, and we put this animated baby on the screen, and one of them had my head, the other one had my cousin Sal's head, and the baby's doing jumping jacks, the baby's smoking a cigarette, and she could not. It took her forever to figure out that it was a prank. She was losing her mind.
It was. Honestly, those have been the most laugh out loud moments for me.
I love me too. That's my favorite part of the show is pranks on my relatives, particularly my Aunt Chippy.
Yeah. Whoa. Well, I gotta say, so surviving your family, I am just assuming there is no shrinking violet in your family, or?
No, not one. There really isn't one. And they're all funny. The whole family, a bunch of funny people. There are no shy people or quiet people in our family. I don't think you'd even make it. I don't know if you'd even get to eat if you were, it's just not something that happens in our family. It's weird. My dad's family is the opposite. My dad's family is, they're very kind of, I wouldn't say serious, but dull, I think is the word now. They're compared to my mom's family, they're very quiet. And like it's night and day being around both sides. And my dad has somehow been accepted by this crazy group, because really when you add it all up, he's the only normal one in the whole family.
Well, pretty exciting. Listen, so we have one last segment that I want to get in because I'm going to have to let you go shortly. But anyway, so this is a segment that I think you may recognize in some sort, although the roles are going to be a bit reversed. We call this segment 3 Tasty Questions.
Oh, okay. All right. Very good. All right.
So.
Oh. Music. All right, I like this.
So Jimmy?
Yes.
I have 3 tasty questions to pose to you.
Okay.
And the first one is, why does wine have legs?
Why does wine have legs? Oh, wow. It's a great question. Well, I guess I guess so it can get to the people. Is that right?
Oh, you got it. Absolutely. That's right. Yeah.
If you start shaving wine's legs, that's where that's where it starts to get weird.
Well, I
But
think that would affect the taste.
why do they call it legs and not arms? Because it could be either, right?
I don't know why they call it. Maybe because they can go very long from the top to the bottom of a glass, longer than an arm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, those would be pretty short legs, though. Ultimately, I mean.
Yeah. So you're not going to see it, but mostly when you see legs on a glass, it's because it's a reflection of the sort of the alcohol evaporating in a glass, and you'll see it more with wines that have higher alcohol or with like mine, and then or with sweeter wines, which we don't make.
Gotcha.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Question number 2. How do you open a bottle of wine without a corkscrew?
Well, I do it with my teeth. I use my teeth are like my Swiss Army knife. There's really nothing I can't open. When the kids want a toy opened or something needs to be like maybe like a hangnail needs to be removed, I go right to these. How do you open? Let's see, without a corkscrew. Well, I mean, I know there are I do have some of those claw-like wine, it slides it down the side.
Yeah.
Are you saying like if you're in a pinch, if you're in like the field or something like that?
Right. On a hike.
Okay. What I would do, and this is just me, I don't know everybody else, I would build a fire and I would put the bottle over the fire, get it to a point where it's just almost to boiling and hope that the cork just pops out on its own. Is that how you do it?
That might work. Another way would be that if you were on a hike, for example, but you would sort of wrap the bottom of the bottle with a towel, so that or some kind of something that would soften the blow, and then you take the bottle and you would like hit it against a wall or a tree or something, or you could put it in between your legs and with a shoe. I haven't done this before. And so, yeah, but it's sort of desperation. You feel like I have got to get at that wine,
Yeah. At that point, you've got a problem. That's what you have.
Yeah. Right. But anyway, that's how you do it.
If you find yourself on a hike banging a bottle of wine with a shoe, it's time to stop drinking.
Yeah, that might be. So, okay. Third tasty question.
All right.
You are a chef. What is the best wine to pair with a Frito?
A Frito, like a Frito chip?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, I'm going to have to go with a Zinfandel with the Frito. I mean, a Frito has got a lot of flavor to it. I don't feel like you would even taste it with most other wines. So, I go with that, or maybe a fortified wine like a Ripple. That's probably Mad Dog Plum,
Okay, you could do that. Well, you are such a great sport, and thank you.
But Kathryn, why did you put on a vest and a hat for that segment? There was no reveal, really.
I should have told you that.
Yes.
So this is like our version of a bartender, because you do the
I do the three ridiculous questions.
I totally missed that.
You know what? I thought it was going to be a fly fishing reference of some kind, because that is basically how I dress when I wear a vest and I got a hat on and I'm out there, throwing flies. So, all right, now I understand.
That is why I'm in my business and not in yours. So I was trying to be a bartender on your 3 silly questions.
Okay.
Right. But so our version of that is oh God, it just so.
I'm not too swift, Kathryn. So you have to explain things to me,
Yeah. Well, when you tell a joke and then you have to spend more time explaining it, it's
never great. Yeah, it's not great. Well, thank you anyway. That was fun, and I appreciate the time, and thank you for the wine as well. I'm going to,
Yeah.
you could give me the test all over again. I'd probably still get one wrong.
I don't know. You are such a good sport. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining today. Thank you for just spending some time with us in general. I just would love you, if there's anything, we're going to have a lot of your people who follow you, watch you on YouTube and on social and on television who are going to be seeing this. So if you have any words to them that you'd like to say before we get off, I'd love to.
Well, I would say, I came up to the winery many years ago and I bought some wine, and then I started ordering wine, and your wine is wonderful. And you guys, whatever you're doing up there with the grapes and all that, keep it up, because it's absolutely delicious. I mean, I'm not an expert, but I am famous, and that's very important. So thank you, Kathryn.
Yes, you are very famous, and deservedly so. Thank you so much for being with us, Jimmy.
Thanks. That was fun. Thanks.
Look forward to seeing you.
All right. See you soon.
Bye-bye. Well, thank you everyone for joining us for our Hall Family Wines Happy Hour. Just so you know, so the 3 wines that we served to Jimmy were the BACA home-based Zinfandel, the Pinot Noir from WALT, the Brisa Pinot Noir from WALT, and the Cabernet, Kathryn Hall Cabernet Sauvignon. So, he'll learn that after the show. So I appreciate everybody tuning in. It's been really, really fun for us. We will be back next Wednesday with Happy Hour. And in the meantime, stay healthy and sip up.